It seems that Muslim apologists had learned from their predecessors about burning, burying, sinking, and now deleting any evidence that would be detrimental to their faith. We all know the story about how varying manuscripts of the Quran were gathered and then burnt in order to preserve one standard Quran. And in case you don't know or have forgotten, allow me to refresh your memory. So Uthman sent a message to Hafsa saying, "Send us the manuscripts of the Quran so that we may compile the Quranic materials in perfect copies and return the manuscripts to you." Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt. Here we find a verse that was missing when they copied the Quran, and Zayd had to search to find this missing verse. Now, in case you're wondering where my source for this is, well, here it is. Sahih Bukhari, book 66. Be sure to look it up. So that was when the Quran was being compiled. Varying versions were gathered together and compiled into one volume. All varying manuscripts were then burnt to destroy any evidence of them. And then the myth of the preserved Quran began. Recently, in an interview with Yasir Qadir, Mohammed Hijab asked Yasir about the standard narrative of the Quran. He asked Yasir if he had an opportunity to write a blank manuscript, would Yasir write exactly what is in the current Quran available today? It turns out that that was not as clear as Hijab assumed it would be.
Clear to you and to every single very advanced student and specialist that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say. The standard narrative does not answer some very pressing questions. Okay? This is what I'm going to say. And
but I think here we
wait, let me finish this, Mohammed, because this is a very important point. I'll let you let me finish this. And by the way, if you are following online media and articles and whatnot, this is no longer hidden news. More and more professors and academics are writing stuff, and it's being publicized on Twitter in the last 2-3 years. I have had at least, I'd say, a dozen people tweet at me like specific articles like, how do you answer this? And, about ulum al-Quran, about qira'at, about makhtutat, about issues, These are now well known within the Western Academy, that they're bringing forth issues. Their level of now knowledge is leaps and bounds above what it used to be.
Let me ask you one question to try and make this as specific as possible. I think if I were to give you a blank mushaf, and tell you to write what is munazzal verbatim from Allah into that mushaf with no human interference, would you write something which corresponds?
It's not an easy answer. It's not an easy yes or no. It is enough for the Muslim to believe that the
I think
Quran
this should be an easy yes or no, though. Yasir Qadir. I have to.
Okay, very, very well. So, Muhammad, after we get off this phone call, me and you, let's have a number of discussions. No problem. I'm very open with advanced students. But these issues should not... Look, it is Kalamullah, what is going to be written. It is Kalamullah. It is
what would you write?
You're pushing me. And I'm saying it's not hikmah to... Listen, I have a condition. Like I said, everything I say is going to be factual. The Quran is the uncreated speech of Allah. The Quran is preserved. The Quran is known. The Quran is mutawatir. And alhamdulillah, all of the qira'at are the Quran. All of the qira'at are authentic. Alhamdulillah. Leave it at that, ya akhi. Beyond this, honestly, I have no problem. We'll have discussions or take my class. It is enough for the Muslim to know that the Quran is the speech of Allah that has been protected, and what we recite is the kalam of Allah. That is enough for the Muslim.
Yeah, but then if I could push back here just a little bit, I know this is, I don't want to make it uncomfortable, but it's just to make things clearer. Like if someone gave you a Quran which is empty in terms of there's nothing on it, and gave you a pen, obviously you have the Quran, but the question is, would what you write in that mushaf correspond with anything that we have in terms of the riwayat and the qira'at?
Who's going to bring a new Quran? A'udhu billah. We're going to have the Quran there, but which qira'ah will it be in? It'll be probably a mixture, right? It's not going to be necessarily... Fine. Yeah, okay, so let's leave it at that then. It's not going to be the exact Hafs and Asim bi riwayati fulan or Shu'ba.
But you would have something which you could say is sahih.
Fully recognizable by the average Muslim, obviously. Anything bizarre, strange.
So when you write, so just to be clear, if you write down, it might not be a standard Hafs and Asim.
Exactly, yes.
But what you
It is
write down will
recognizable.
be is recognizable, and you believe that everything within that is munazzal min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
100%, as Allah is my witness. 100%.
So Yasir Qadir admits that there are holes in the narrative. He also admits that this is not as clear as assumed by most Muslims. Most Muslims believe that the Quran they read today is verbatim the words of Allah, unchanged in any manner or form. They believe that there is not one word or letter that has ever been changed. But we see that this is not the case. So the Muslim apologists receive a lot of criticism from their followers and the Muslim community as a whole, so much so that they now have burnt the evidence. Well, if it was a written copy, they would have burnt it. But since it was a YouTube video, they burned the evidence by removing it. They completely removed the video from both of their channels. The question we have to ask is why? If this content was not damaging to Islam, then why would they remove it? But here's the thing, they know that it's damaging. Muslims all over are now asking questions. Has the Quran been changed? How much of it has changed? Why were Muslims misled to believe the Quran was never changed in the first place? And if it has been changed, and we know that it has, what does this do for the doctrine of the eternal Quran? The Bible for the longest time has been criticized by Muslims as being corrupted and changed. Yet there was never a time when Christians attempted to hide any manuscripts or burn them or gather them all together to create one universal manuscript. Never. We are all well aware of scribal errors, and in fact, we can and have pointed out these errors. We have never tried to be deceitful and hide them. But our Muslim friends have a lot of explaining to do, since from the very beginning they've tried to burn all evidence that point to variant Qurans, and now they simply try to remove the evidence of their admission to that fact.